Hello and welcome. I am going to be doing a tutorial on, I guess you could say, portraits, skin color. I'm going to be doing, I put this image together on Photoshop, and it is serial killers playing poker. Yep, it is. It's something I've been wanting to do for a while. I've titled this Your Hand, like the poker hand. I don't know if that's weird. But anyways, you have Dennis Rader on the left, Edmund Kemper in the middle, and Ted Bundy on the right. And I washed my butcher tray. It happens like once a year. So I thought I would show it off. It's so nice and shiny. You know what, I get my butcher tray and the colors, and it just gets, I get these colors that are impossible to remake, and so I don't want to reuse my butcher tray or rewash it every single time, so I just don't wash it. Yeah, and I washed it. It was just getting to that point. It was getting dusty and stuff, and the dust was mixing with my paints, and it's just not helping, and this was going to be a big project for me. So I obviously wanted to make sure I did a good job with it. I'm picking out my brushes right now, and big projects, I'm using a lot of brushes. I have my Princeton snap brush, the Dugato mop brush, which is probably the one I use the most in general, and the Princeton, this is also a snap brush, and there's smaller sizes, obviously, size 2, size 0. I'll put all this stuff down in the description as well. And obviously I have my water. I think I'm going to grab one more. Yep. So my snap brushes used to be that white. I've obviously never used this angle brush. I don't know what you would use an angle brush for. I guess for angles. Clearly don't know everything about brushes. But anyways, my snap brushes used to be white, and I can never get them that white again. I don't know if it's possible or not. If you guys know how to get these bristles white as they were when I bought it, then please let me know in the comments. But I use quite a bit, and I think I do use all these brushes in this painting, so there's a lot. I even pull out my big whopper of a Princeton mop size 4 at the very end, but I don't show that on video. So this whole painting took me probably, I would say, like 5 hours in total, and I'm definitely not going to be spending 5 hours talking to you guys about doing this, but this video portion is just going to be about the skin color and getting the face tones. And I know a lot of people like to start with the backgrounds and all that stuff and go to the people last. That's technically probably what I would prefer to do, but because portraits and skin and all that stuff is not my strength, gosh, it's like most of us, right? It's not our strengths. Because it's not my strength, I really didn't want to do all the background and all that stuff and then get to the face and then mess it up, and then I'm stuck. It's like, I wouldn't want to start over again. So I start with their faces just to make sure I can do it. And if not, and if you guys aren't comfortable with it, maybe try it. But if not, then you can do the faces first too. And then if you like it, then keep going. And if not, then it doesn't suck as bad to start over. I mean, it still sucks because it's, I'm using Arches watercolor paper, which isn't cheap. And who wants to like sketch this all over again? But yeah, so I'm getting my colors together. For skin color, I use red, white, and brown. That's pretty much it. I mean, that's our skin color, right? So you just add different levels of each one to make it. If your skin color has more pink undertones, then you're going to add more red. If you have more of the brown undertones, you're going to add more brown. I'm definitely my own skin color is a little bit more of the brown undertones. So if I was doing my skin, it would be more browns and yellows. And then some people with more pink. And then for these guys, and the pictures I used in the editing, it's the one in the middle is actually not Edmund Kemper. It's the actor in the TV series. But because I just could not find a good image of Edmund Kemper, I used the actor, and I'm going to edit it just a bit in the painting to reflect the actual Edmund Kemper. But I'm using the picture more for a guide. Obviously, the Ted Bundy picture is black and white, and so they're all different qualities of colors, which is fine. I don't really care. I was going more for composition. I just wanted to use this more of a guide as to where they are and all that stuff, and then I'm making my own colors. So I'm kind of getting a whole bunch of colors together at this point just to get everything ready. A lot of people don't like to use black or white in their watercolors. I use them a lot. It's one of those, I guess you could say, old school methods of not using white or using black. People like that like to prefer to layer colors and use an absence of color, but not me. So here I am mixing my colors. As you can see, it's a pink, and then I'm going to add the brown, and I surprisingly got to the color I needed pretty quickly. Usually you have to do quite a bit of mixing in order to get this mixed up together. And then I add some water to really, really dilute it down and to make it super, super thin. And I suggest this with any kind of portraits, whether skin color or really any kind of watercolor. If you want to do a really, really, really sheer, watered down color, it's a great way to layer it on if you want to, I don't know, just make sure that you're getting things done right. So here I am I'm doing Edmund's face here, and I'm pulling in the picture a little bit closer just because he has glasses on, so I want to make sure that I don't go over the glasses, although technically I could because his frames are black, so obviously I could put the black on top of the color, but in this case, I'm not trying to, I don't know what I'm doing here. What am I doing? Oh, because we're shadowing and stuff, so I'm just trying to make sure what I am going to do is the right side of his face is kind of cast in light, and so I am going to do a little bit of no color there, and then I'm going to add a background in at the very end where you don't actually see the line, the sketch lines. So normally I would do color over that because I did sketch through this, but because I'm putting a background over, I'm not too worried about my lines. I don't know if that makes any sense. His face looks a lot more pink here than I was really going for, so I'm going to blot with a rag, and I do this a lot with my paintings. I do a lot of blotting because, as you can see, I'm just lifting off the color, and it takes up quite a bit and leaves a really nice sheer light color, which is what I was wanting, and it looks really, really light here, but it works because once you add in the shadows and stuff, and you can add a little bit more depth to the face, you just want a really light color. I'm not really going for a very, very opaque skin color. I'm going for more of a sheer. And I have found with portraits, it works for me because otherwise it gets really muddy. And I think I've seen a lot of people struggle with this, and I think if you lift off the color and go very, very sheer, then you don't get that muddiness, and it gives you the room to add the shadows and stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm doing his arms now. I'm going to do all three guys pretty much the same skin color. They are, I mean, you don't really have great images. They're all from different decades, and so you have different photography quality, but I think they all have very similar skin tone, close enough that in a painting I can use a little artist creativity and do all the same color. I'm not going for exact photorealism here, so I'm totally fine with it not being an exact match to what their skin color is. They're all three Caucasian, so, you know, am I crossing into kind of a delicate territory? You're talking about skin color, but hey, it's art. We're talking about skin color. We have to. So I added a little bit of shadow to his fingers here already, and I'm going to do Ted Bundy's face. And I have to say, when I was doing their hands, I got a little creeped out. I don't know. It was just, it's weird because painting their hands was very, it's just, their hands look normal. I know it's weird because it's supposed to look normal. They're normal hands. They look normal. It's just weird. It's just weird when I was painting their hands just to think of what they've done. It's just a very surreal experience. So if you want a surreal experience, hey, go paint their hands. Go paint a serial killer's hands. That's, you know, I shouldn't be laughing. Okay, so I'm doing a little bit darker around his collar because there is some shadowing there, and you probably see it in the image. Obviously, I'm not going to paint him in black and white. I thought about it. I was like, oh, it'd be kind of cool to make him black and white, and I was like, what? That doesn't even make any sense. Why would I keep him black and white? So I made him the same skin color as everybody else. And I have to say, portraits are not my strength. I've said this before, but I was really happy with the way this came out and very surprised. And one thing I did differently here is I just went super sheer at the beginning, and I didn't overthink it. I didn't try to overblend, which I've tried doing in the past with portraits, and it just gets muddy and weird, and I lose the features of the face. And so I was a little bit nervous with doing this, especially since they're smaller images. I've noticed if I do a bigger face, like if the whole face takes up the paper, then I can do that. I can do a lot more blending, a lot more layers, and it doesn't get muddy. And I tried doing that with these smaller pictures, and it just doesn't work. So with this one, I did go a little bit sheer and then kept the blending minimal, and it worked. It worked for me. So if you found that you struggle with a little bit of the muddiness of portraits, then maybe give that a try. So over here, so this isn't actually Ted Bundy's hand. This is a hand from another image. I really had to piece things together just to get an idea. And if you feel like you need to do that, I mean, a lot of people say, do I need to be an artist to be a painter? And my answer is no. I break all the rules when it comes to art, but I really don't think that you need to be. Now that I'm staring at this, it feels like it's like my little paint swatch in the butcher tray of the skin color. It looks like some weird, like, worm. Or like larva or something. I don't know. It's probably like one of those ink blot tests you can use. Okay, so I'm doing Dennis Rader's face right now. He's bald, as you can see. I'm not completely bald, but so this is really funny. I did the color, and I was like, oh, he's shiny on top from the bald head reflecting the light, and I thought, okay, I should maybe not accentuate that, because it's kind of, I don't know, I feel like, do bald guys like that? Not have the head reflect the light? I assume not. But then I'm like, you know what? This is Dennis Rader. I don't really care if he's offended, and it doesn't really matter anyways, because he's not around to protest. Doth do not protest. So I made his bald head shiny. I kind of felt a little good about it. Like, hey, I'm going to make your head reflect some light. So what I did is I just did the color, and I just dabbed the rag on top of his head and took off some color, and that's pretty much it. And that got the shininess. That's how I did the light reflections on pretty much the entire painting. Is I would put the color in. I'm using a Q-tip here just to lift off some color, but that's pretty much what I did with this whole thing. Is I would add paint, and then I would dab with the cloth to lift off some color, lift off some color. Speak slowly, Tina. Enunciate. And here in the original image, and you can probably see it in there, he's holding a pair of glasses. And this one of Dennis Rader and Ted Bundy, it's both of their court pictures. So they were already sitting at a table, which worked out perfectly for this image that I wanted to do. And he's holding his glasses in his hand here, but I took artistic liberties and removed it and replaced it with a poker chip. And then, of course, this Edmund Kemper, who is really the actor, not actually Edmund Kemper, it's perfect. When he's sitting there in the middle, I thought was perfect for this image. But yeah, so this isn't Edmund Kemper, but Cameron Britton, who is the actor. Cameron Britton, who, if you haven't watched Mindhunter, if you like true crime, well, Mindhunter is not true crime. It's a what is the word? What's the word? I am blanking out. When people, help me out here. When people do the acting in reenactment type thing, is it reenactments? I don't think that's the word I'm looking for. But anyways, it's a drama series, so it's not a true crime show, but it's based on basically Edmund Kemper. And he does such a fantastic job playing Edmund Kemper that I'm using him as an image. I mean, he just does such a good job as Edmund Kemper. And the actor's 6'5", so he is tall as well. And Edmund Kemper is 6'9". So both tall. I mean, 6'9", good golly. Good golly, Miss Molly. So I'm adding the shadows now. So for shadows on the face, basically, I take the skin color and I added brown, in this case sepia, to the mix to darken it a little bit. So this is what you don't want to do. You don't want to add black, because black would make it a little bit muddier and it's going to make it look more gray. And unless you're going for a ghosty zombie look, then you don't want gray undertones in the skin. So I added brown just to give that shadow. And his glasses are casting a shadow on his face, so I'm adding those shadows to his face first. I do his glasses last. So he kind of looks like a raccoon here. The way I'm painting, it looks like a raccoon. Actually, it's kind of makes a little bit more sense to be doing serial killers for portraits, because I could say whatever I want negatively about these people and I don't feel bad about it. So when I say you look like a raccoon in my picture, I don't feel bad. I'm taking a long time here. And he has a little bit of shadowing around his nose. And then he's got this, what do you call the sideburns that go down? It's like a little bit of a longer sideburn. that's what he has. And I'm adding a little bit more shadow to his jawline and his neck because he's looking up. So basically, in a painting, you want to look at where the light source is, and in this case, the light source is going to be from the top right-hand side of the painting. So the shadows are going to be cast to the left. And he has his head lifted, so I've got the shadows underneath. Gotta give him some ear holes. So, funny story, while I'm painting his ears. I used to have a pair of cockatiels, and I know some people don't like birds, but I love birds. I'm one of those people that love birds. And I had a pair of cockatiels, and I love these guys, but two boy cockatiels that were very young and hormonal, we could not keep them. We found them some girlfriends, and they got to go make babies. So anyways, not the point of my story. So we had a pair of cockatiels. So I was in these cockatiel groups, right? Because you would think birds would be easy to take care of. You just stick them in a cage and feed them. But they're not. They're so much harder to take care of than dogs. And it's just ridiculous how hard it is to take care of birds. And they're so sensitive. Like, can't wear perfumes around them. I can't have them near the kitchen because of the smell, or anything from the kitchen can, like, hurt. They have apparently, like, really complicated respiratory systems. But very entertaining birds. I mean, tiny, tiny brains, and they've got the personality of, like, a huge personality. I don't know what has big personality, but they have big personalities. I don't know how they have tiny brains, but they do. So anyways, I'm in this cockatiel group, and fun fact, in Australia, because cockatiels are Australian, so a lot of these groups are Australian based, but parakeets are called budgies. So I spent so much time in these cockatiel groups. This is a funny thing. I started calling parakeets budgies, and we went to a pet store one time. I'm like, oh, look, budgies. And my husband's like, what the heck are you talking about? But anyways, so there is a point to the story. So I'm in this cockatiel group, and I shouldn't laugh because I've done far more stupid things than this, but this lady, I feel so bad for her. So she cockatiels love, I think all birds do, but I can only speak on cockatiels, love baths and showers. And when I say showers, basically you take a spray bottle and you spray water and it showers down on them, and they love that. And they start bathing and they spread out their wings and they, like, go upside down on their perch and they, like, take a little bath. Like, they love it. So cockatiels love baths. You give them a little dish with water in it and they take a bath. Like, they love it. So anyways, I guess this lady gave her cockatiel a bath or a shower. I don't know which one of them. But she was, obviously taking the advice of the people in the group, saying, hey, your cockatiel would love this shower. Go ahead and give them their little bath thing. And, of course, she did. And so she posted a picture of her cockatiel wet, which, by the way, they're not cute when they're wet. And she's freaking out because she's like, oh, my God, this cockatiel something's wrong with it. It's holes on the side of his head. It was the ears. The poor lady did not know that. I don't know if she didn't know that she just assumed they didn't have ears, or assumed they would look human. Like, I don't know. They're just holes, but they're covered by feathers. You never see that, but she was freaking out. She was so freaked out. She's like, what's wrong with my cockatiel? There's a hole in its head. It was just so tragic. So, okay, so I did the fingers, I added some shadowing to his face, and I'm pretty happy with the way this is turning out so far. Anyways, how are you guys? Are you happy? I hope you're happy. I'm happy to be doing this. So I've done some live Facebook tutorials, and I've gotten some really good feedback from it, but I think a lot of people just feel like watching them in replay is not as effective because they are live. So I feel like people kind of are like, that's what people are doing. So I'm doing these. I think this is going to be fun. So what are you guys up to? It is Friday night, and what am I doing? I am doing a video tutorial, but let's be real, I've got a 6-month-old, so it's not like I'd be doing much else. Anyways, this little project of mine, of this art piece, I was so happy with the way it turned out. I think that if you've ever done art before, hopefully this isn't your first one, you're jumping right in and doing portraits. But if you are, hey, good for you. Maybe you're that type of person that likes to jump into the deep end, and I'm not. So I don't get it, but more power to you. But anyways, if you are, what was I saying? What was I talking about? Oh, this art piece. So I had this idea for this. I did Phoenix Fan Fusion, which is like the San Diego Comic-Con, but not as big. It's big, it's huge. It's just not as massively huge as San Diego Comic-Con. It's like 3/4 of the size of San Diego Comic-Con. It's what I would say, which is still really, really big. It's a big event. So I do Phoenix Fan Fusion every year, and by do, I mean I go and I speak and I do panels and stuff, and I do some true crime panels, and I got this idea while doing these panels was, well, first of all, I looked to see, I Googled and it said serial killers playing poker, like dogs playing poker, and surprisingly, nothing really came up. If something is up there, out there, hopefully it's not the exact same thing. I did not see anything, and nothing really popped out. But I did not do like an extensive Google search. I just was like, oh, that'd be kind of a fun painting to have. And then I was like, oh, there's not really anything out there. I should paint it. So I came up with this idea, and I thought that these 3 guys would be interesting playing poker because they are definitely characters. They're characters. Ted Bundy and Dennis Rader both were both so full of themselves that they actually thought they could represent themselves in court. I mean, Ted Bundy at least had some education in that arena behind his belt, under his belt, in his belt. How is that? What's the phrase? In his belt. Anyways, he obviously had a little bit. Well, obviously, but he had some of that education in his system, and so I don't know. I feel like it's more or less stupid, more forgiving for him to have kind of represented himself or wanted to represent himself. But it shows how arrogant these guys are. I mean, even if you had to take a sip of water, even if you are an attorney, a criminal attorney, I don't think you should represent yourself because judges tend to look down on that, and I think that alone should be a reason not to. Not that I should be giving advice to any serial killer or anything, not that they would be listening to me. I mean, if there's a serial killer out there watching this video, learning how to paint, well, I'd rather not know. But anyways, they're both arrogant. So I thought it'd be interesting to have these guys playing poker. Can you imagine the conversations? So one of the things that I did, listen, I have such a morbid sense of humor. So if you're watching this and you don't like any kind of morbid sense of humor, then you should probably switch to a more peaceful channel, because that's not this one. But I added an element for each of these guys to the poker game. So the most obvious one is probably the rope that is hanging over Dennis Rader's shoulder. His left shoulder is rope. Dennis Rader is also known as the BTK killer, bind, torture, kill. And so I put a rope up there. And then Edmund Kemper has a cell phone next to him, which is, you know, pretty funny because he's not from an era that uses cell phones. But that's part of the artistic license, is being able to do that. His cell phone says "Mom calling." If you know his story, then you know why that's funny to me. I should not be entertained by this, but I am, and I'm sitting here talking to myself. Well, I'm talking to you guys. I know I'm talking to you guys, but I'm talking to myself. And then Ted Bundy has, this is my favorite. This is funny. So he's got a brochure. I mean, it's funny. It's not funny. He killed people. They all killed people. It's not funny. I am not laughing at the crimes. It's just the irony of this all. So he was actually a member of the Seattle Crime Prevention Advisory Committee. I don't know what that is, but Seattle Crime Prevention Advisory Committee. I'm assuming it's a committee that advises on crime prevention in Seattle. Wow. I mean, come on. So he's got a brochure in his pocket. And I did not really do this perspective correctly in putting that brochure in his pocket. It's not in there appropriately, I should say, because it's not at the right angle. It's not physically possible to be sitting in his pocket at the angle that it's at. But in order for me to show off that title of a brochure, I had to put it in that way. So I'm just kind of ignoring the fact that it's not in there appropriately and don't care. So that's the three of them. What am I doing here? So here I'm still adding some more shadowing. I'm putting some shadowing. So I was really nervous doing the eyes. Because eyes are just, they're windows to the soul. No, but seriously, eyes are, if you get the eyes wrong, you get the whole face wrong. You can't really get the eyes wrong. So here's my tip of the day. Ooh, should I do tips of the day? Here's my tip of the day. Go very slowly and very lightly on the eyes and make sure that you really, really take the time to get the eyes right, because that's, if you mess up the eyes, then it's, you throw the whole face away. So many puns when doing a serial killer painting. But yeah, take the time to do the eyes. And here's with these guys, because the image is small. I mean, even though this is a pretty decent sized painting for watercolor, don't try to get every detail. Don't try to get the pupils in there. You know, like, it's okay if it's a dark blob, as long as it's the right shape, if that makes sense. And that's kind of what I was going for here. So one of the things I did try to do with this painting was I added a sparkle to the eye. I added a sparkle to their eyes, and didn't do that to make them charming. I did that to make their gaze a little bit more intense. I just was going, I'm like, if I'm doing a serial killer playing poker painting, then I think it's really imperative to bring the intensity to the painting, and I thought that was the way to do it. So I did add a sparkle to their eyes, all in the same, as if the light's coming from the same source, which brings the picture together, but also makes them look a little bit more intense. I mean, you've all heard about those paintings where, like, oh, their eyes are following you. I was kind of going for that. I don't think I necessarily nailed that part of it, but I was going for that. Hang on, I gotta take another sip of water. I'm not used to talking this long. So as you can see, I'm doing a lot of like painting and dabbing. And let's really just get the thinnest layer of color on there and just layer that on. And by dabbing with a rag, it lifts up that color and creates another depth to the color without adding any muddiness. And even with the color I'm adding, it's really, really, really watered down. As you can see, I keep dipping my paintbrush in water and adding more water. I mean, it's just such a watered down color that there should be barely any color on your paintbrush at all. And with watercolor, I grew up doing oil painting and acrylic, and I just never quite felt like we got along. But the one thing that's really nice with oil and acrylic is you can really make mistakes and go over and over and over and over and over again, and you never ever have issues with muddiness. So that's the nice thing with oil and acrylic, is that it's super, super forgiving, and watercolor is not. So if you're newer to watercolor, this is a great method to really adapt, because if you can just keep your colors as really sheer as possible, that's the way to make it a little bit more forgiving. And that's what I'm doing. I'm just dabbing, painting, dabbing, painting. And I'm using old rags. You can wash them if you want. I'll use them and then wash them a couple times before I toss them. But you can get rags on Amazon for pretty cheap. A lot of people like to use paper towels. I don't really like to use paper towels because the rags just, they last so much longer, and I just feel like when you're doing a painting that takes as long as like this one does, I really just don't want to keep getting up and getting more paper towels. And paper towels, they sometimes will just create more lint and stuff. So I just prefer old rags. Old rags for the old hags. So I'm adding more shadow to his hand here. Like I said, this hand, his left hand is not his. It's a different image. I needed to borrow somebody's left hand. Couldn't find a picture of Ted Bundy's left hand. The picture has a ring on his middle finger. I left it off because I assumed Ted Bundy would not be wearing a ring on his left hand. He wouldn't be that 21st century trendy back then. So I'm just going to I'm yawning. My goodness, I'm so sorry. Hopefully you guys did not hear that yawn, but I just yawned. And the hands, what I've been told by people is hands are the hardest thing to do for them. Hands, they're not hard for me, and I think it's because I'm kind of a lazy artist. And that helps, because I think the reason why hands are difficult for people is because they overthink it. And they try to add a lot of shadow, and they just try to make it dimensional. And it's like, it's really simple. You just paint what you see. I know this probably sounds so condescending. I'm so sorry, but you paint what you see. So in this instance, I'm painting his hand, and it's basically what you see the most of is the crease. I have hiccups now. Great, this is going to be a fantastic video. So what you see the most is the darkness in the creases of his fingers, and then you see the darkness, shadows, kind of where his cuff meets his wrist. And that's pretty much what you have to focus on. So now, what am I doing right now? I don't remember. Am I doing the glasses yet? No, I'm doing his mustache. So Dennis Rader and Edmund Kemper both have mustaches. Mustache. I was listening to. So one of the I like watching nail videos from Miss Joe's. I think her videos. What's her channel? Miss Joe's Nail and Co. I think. Anyways, I do my own nails, and I started doing my own nails during lockdown because we had to. Either that or you don't have your nails done. But it's like, really, there was nothing else to do. So I learned how to do my own nails. And then lockdown lifted, and here in Arizona, it lifted like pretty much right away. So we went like a whole 2 months without a salon, which I know places have gone like over a year. But in that 2 months, apparently, I needed to do my nails. So I did my nails, and I kept looking for places. I don't know what it was. I just, ever since lockdown was lifted, I could not find any nail salons I was happy with. It was either they did a sloppy job or they weren't really hygienic. I think the last place I went to, like if I liked the work they were doing, it wasn't hygienic. Or if they were hygienic and really clean, their work was kind of eh. The last place I went to, really nice upscale place that was recommended by a bunch of people. It looked clean. They did a nice job, but she rushed through it so fast I ended up getting a cut on my finger and it got infected. So I just like gave up on, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go back to doing my own nails. So I'm doing my own nails, and as an artist, I was like, oh, I should do some of the fun art stuff. So I've been watching Miss Joe's Nail & Co. She does some pretty crazy fun stuff, which I would never do, and she says she doesn't do it either, which is pretty funny, but for some reason I like watching her videos, and she's got a really fun British accent. It's like that northern London accent, like the Adele accent. And she's just funny. Like she laughs, and she has like a really contagious laugh, and I just like watching her videos. I don't know. Where was I going with all of this? I don't know what I was going with all of this. Anyways, I've been watching her videos. I don't know I lost track of what I was saying. What was I saying? I don't remember. Anyways, I like watching her videos. So if you get anything out of that, at least, I don't know, check out her videos. If you want to get your nails, do your nails yourself. She makes them look easy. And then, I don't know, I guess I like videos where people do stuff. Like I watch Bailey Sarian. Shocker, right? Talking about doing my nails, and I like true crime. So it's not a surprise that I like Bailey Sarian, who has like millions of followers. Oh my goodness. I can't even imagine. So here I am. Oh, the mustache. I remembered. Okay, so Miss Jo, she's got that fun North London. I assume it's North London. I shouldn't say it like it's a fact, because obviously I'm not British. I have no idea. I'm not the expert. I could not tell you for sure. I think it's North London accent. Anyways, she says mustache really cute. I don't remember how she says it, but it's like mustache or something. I don't know what it was. It's cute. Now I'm going to have to go to her video, find her where she said this. I don't know why she was saying mustache. I don't know what video it would be. I've watched all her videos. I have no idea which one it would be. But anyways, maybe somebody from North London can send me an audio clip of how they say mustache. But Dennis Rader, Edmund Kemper both have some pretty distinct mustaches. Mustaches? Mustache? What's a plural of mustache? Mustaches. Mustaches. I have allergies. Allergies have been really bad. Oh, it was 111 degrees here today. Where are you guys at, and what's the temperature where you're at? Because it was 111. I think one of the people I know was like posting that they're making pork chops in their car. It's like, I don't think that's hot enough. I mean, I know it gets hot here, but I'm pretty sure that there's still bacteria if you don't get it to a certain temperature. I was like, 111, assume it gets up to 140 maybe in your car. I don't think that's hot enough to make pork chops, but I just didn't want to be that person and be like, I don't think you can make pork chops in your car in this heat, because who knows, it was probably a joke. And I want to be that person that says that, and I'd be like, it's a joke, man. You can't take anything. Why do you take everything so seriously? I didn't want to be that person. Maybe they end up getting sick. Who knows? And I'll feel guilty. But so here I'm doing Dennis Rader's beady eyes. He has beady eyes. This is one thing I was noticing when I was painting him. My God, his eyes are so like ugh, beady and just gross. And it's funny because this is a trial picture of him, but it really does look like he's playing poker in here. So what do you think? Do you think Edmund Kemper would win at poker? I mean, if you're a true crime person, what do you think? I have a little bowl of samples of makeup products next to me. And, you know, it's like, you know, when you buy stuff from the department store online. I do a lot of online shopping. They send you samples. I get so many. I literally have this giant bowl of samples. And I'm looking for, see if I have any chapstick samples because my lips are dry and I can't find any. No chapstick. I have allergies. My lips are dry. I'm just a hot mess. So I'm doing Dennis Rader's beady little eyes. I have a lot of cleansing serums. I have a lot of little perfume samples, which I actually like these perfume samples because I stick them in my purse. And if I'm out and about all day, I'm able to, apparently I can't read and talk at the same time. If I'm out all day, then I just use the little perfume thing. No chapstick. So for his eyes, I did the same thing. I did the light, really sheer layer, and then I'm going to be adding some darkness. Excuse me. His eyebrows, of course. Of course, my horse. And what are you going to say, Tina? Keep talking. Apparently, I'm a really slow painter. I always thought of myself as a fast painter, but watching this right now, can you guys hear my grandfather clock in the background? I don't know if you can hear it. It's obnoxious right now. But apparently, I paint slowly. Actually, probably not, because I think people take like weeks and months to paint, and I did this. I mean, I did this whole thing. This is definitely one of my longer ones. This was like 5 hours. I think I said it's what I said. It was 5 hours at the beginning of the video. 5, 6 hours. That's a long time for me. I don't think I've taken longer. I did Captain Jack Sparrow, gosh, probably like a year or two ago, and that was a long time. It took 3 or 4 days, and I probably spent a good 3, 4 hours each day. That took a long time. Nothing's ever come close to that. And I was okay with it. I was not loving it. There was definitely parts of it I loved. I thought his braids came out really well. The whole painting, and I'm happy with the braids. So I'm going to be doing, maybe I should speed up this part a little bit. Maybe if I could figure out how to speed up this part. I don't know. Let it go, let it go. Doing the hands. The creepy hands. I don't know. It just creeped me out painting their hands. It's really weird. I don't know why it did. And I do add more shadows. So once I finish their faces here, so you can see I'm doing pretty much getting close to the end here. There's probably like another 15 minutes left, and you can fast forward at this point. But if you're like, I'm doing the hands, I'm adding the shadows and stuff, don't do the complete work. So if you are doing a portrait like this and you're starting with the face, just get enough down to get the base skin color, because it's really hard. Like, you don't want to do, one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to paint their face. Say you're doing a face or portrait. You don't want to paint the face and then come back later and paint the hands. And the reason you don't want to do that is because it's really hard to match that skin tone. So it will look like you just have bad makeup on. You don't want to do that. So get at least the base colors down for skin all over. So don't miss any spots. So there's hands, or a bit of the ankle shows, or some of the wrist, or a little bit of cleavage. Just get the whole skin color down. So you get the whole, and try to mix enough too. As you can see, I have a pretty decent amount of skin color that I mixed. Mix enough that you don't have to remix it. It's better to overestimate how much skin color you're making than to underestimate and having to remix it, because it's definitely not like oil or acrylic where you can go, okay, one dab here, one dab here. Like, watercolors, it's definitely not a forgiving medium. So you want to be able to mix them all together and then do the face. Do all the skin pieces that are showing. Gosh. Not Jeffrey Dahmer, Tina. We're not painting Jeffrey Dahmer. So, and then do that. So, and then you can always come back to it. Now I'm doing his glasses. I did his glasses and his mustache, and I feel like this is really where he starts to come together. You're like, ooh, this is kind of getting to look pretty cool. I don't know. Once I did his face, it looked like his face. Once I did the face eyeglasses, I felt like it just made his eyes pop. Not his eyes, his face. Like, ooh, nailed it. Isn't that just, it just made it like dimensional, three-dimensional there. Which is kind of why I was leaving the glasses for the end, because I knew that would happen, and so I love that effect. It's very rewarding. Very rewarding. And same thing with the hair. Once you do the hair too, it just brings it all together. Ooh, I can see my nose and my glasses there. Just stuck my head right in. I forgot there was a camera. I forgot I was being filmed. My nose. Stick your face back, Tina. That's not pretty. We don't want to see that. My butcher palette is still looking fairly white. But seriously, I get to the point where there's not one single empty spot on my butcher palette or palette. So the tray here is called a butcher palette, butcher tray. I think it's fantastic for watercolors. It's big, holds a lot of color, a lot of mixing, and it just cleans so easily, and it looks brand new when you clean it. So I can't recommend this palette enough. I love it. Just look up butcher tray for watercolor up on Amazon, and it's not expensive. And it's so perfect for mixing color. It's got the white background, so you can see your colors really well. I know, it just really, really holds well. The glasses make it pop. I love it. The glasses make it pop. The glasses make it pop. The glasses make it pop. Isn't that cool? Like, the glasses and the mustache just really made him look dimensional here. And I think at this point, now I'm doing Raider's mustache as well. His eyes. Adding the darkness, eyebrows and stuff. Just layering. So the black glasses were last. From light to dark, that's the best way to do it. obviously, I don't know what happened to me here. Where did I go? What did I do? I don't know. Apparently I'm just taking a nice little break here. Sorry guys, I'm still trying to figure out how to make these videos work more efficiently. Making hair color. That's what I'm doing, making hair color. I'm also looking up, excuse me, what color Ted Bundy's hair is, because it's clearly not black and white. I had a black and white picture, and it looks like it's a light colored suit. I didn't even bother looking at what color his suit was, because I really just wanted to do my own thing. So in the end, I did do like a cream color gray suit, grayish, and I gave his shirt some pink pinstripes. Oh, yep, see? I knew it. I'm looking up Ted Bundy's hair color. A lot of black and white pictures, so I was kind of having to dig through to find something, but pretty much it was just a dark brown. They all have dark brown hair, so it wasn't really too much creativity when it came to hair color here. So as far as hair goes, I know that a lot of people kind of struggle with the hair. I'm not doing photorealism here, so I'm just kind of, it's a little bit lighter on top from the light source, which I'm going to do, and then the way to do that is just, if you're using, let's say, a brown color, more water equals lighter shade, less water, more opaque. So if you're wanting it to look like there is highlights, and not highlights like bleach highlights, like highlights from the sun or from the light source, then just use watered down color. The best way to do that is to do, what I suggest is to do a light wash color throughout the entire hair, and then go back and add dark strands and the shadows or whatever it is that you're doing for the hair color. And here, his hair is, like I said, the light source is coming from kind of up above and to the right, so darker at the bottom, and that's why I'm doing the darker hair around the ears. He has curly hair, curlyish wavy hair, so just what I do is I just kind of imitate that with the brush strokes. It's the best way to achieve the curly hair. Just do the wisps, pretend the brush stroke is the extension of the hair, and just kind of match the direction the curls are going with the brush, and that's the easiest way, in my opinion, to match curly hair, or any hair. So if you're doing straight, do straight. And I do that with when I'm doing dog fur, same thing. I take a mop brush and I kind of imitate the direction the fur is going into, and it makes it look curly or straight or whatever it is. And that's probably one of the reasons I really like working with mop brush, is because it can really do that, pretend it's an extension of the hair to get that same texture. And he's got his hair, I guess, kind of combed to the right, so you have a little bit of the hairline showing where it kind of comes over to the right. So I just left a little bit of skin there to show that. And otherwise, it kind of just looks like he's wearing a wig. We don't want that one to look a little bit more realistic than that. I don't know, he looks like, while I'm painting this, looks a little bit like a young George W. Bush to me. I mean, obviously, I'm not trying to be offensive to anybody, but I'm just saying, maybe it's the hair. I think it might be the hair, or the way he's sitting. So tell me, what would you guys like me to teach next time? Would you want me to teach how to do flowers, or maybe another portrait, landscape. We could do like a something where you can paint along. We could do something like that. Or I'm trying to think of what else we can do. Oh, like a galaxy, stars, lots of stuff. And then Edmund Kemper's hair, very straightforward. It's just dark, black, straight. So all I have to do is just kind of fill in the lines. Very easy to do. Very little highlight or low lights in the lighting the way it is, because it's dark and he's kind of taller, so he's kind of away from the light source. So I'm not going to do much as far as, it's going to be a lot easier than doing Ted Bundy's hair. So I had the sketch done and pretty much just filled it in. And just see how adding the hair and the glasses, I don't know, just really, for me, brought it all together. It's very exciting. Very exciting. And I take a Q-tip to lift some of the color off at the top where there's a little bit of that light source. It's the same concept as the rag, except I use a Q-tip because it's smaller, and I didn't want to lift up the color off all his hair. I was just looking for one area, and the Q-tip lifts off a lot less color than a rag does. So if you're looking to lift up some color, but you don't want to get rid of too much color, and you want a controlled area, smaller area, then definitely Q-tip. And I remember looking at this thinking, yeah, just his hair looks just like a plain old bowl hair. Edmund Kemper, personality-wise, so different from the other two. I feel like Ted Bundy and Dennis Rader are probably in the same realm of personalities, and then Edmund Kemper is just kind of the opposite, the complete opposite. So I think it would be such an interesting poker game. Granted, can never happen because you'd have to be alive for it, but you know, and they're not all alive. I think the only one alive still is Edmund Kemper, I believe. Don't quote me. I know you guys are going to quote me, but don't quote me. And here, because Dennis Rader has a very extreme receding hairline, not sorry at all, he's a lot easier to do, a lot less paint. A lot of times, somebody with a very extreme receding hairline might have a little bit of hair on top where you just kind of want to be very careful with how you do that. But in his case, he doesn't, so it's really just a clear cut painting the sides. And I do bring a little bit to the left side of his face because he is at a bit of an angle. So because he's at an angle, you can see a little bit of the hair on his left side as well. And that's important not to miss, because otherwise it just makes his perspective a little peculiar with the direction he's facing. By adding a little bit of the hair on the other side, it does bring a little bit of dimension. So, as we are coming to an end here, let me know what you guys think. Did this help you? Hopefully it did. I love watercolor. Watercolor and I get along just dandy, and I just really clicked with it as opposed to acrylic and oil. And I think a lot of people have had the opposite experience. I can't explain why. I just really like watercolor. It's for me, especially when you start doing things like landscapes or other stuff, it's easier because it's an organic image and it's using water to help you paint. You you get some really cool effects with watercolor. And people are often surprised that I do portraits in watercolor. I just feel like it's easier to do. And hopefully watching this has helped you maybe feel the same way. Maybe not. Maybe you hate it. Maybe you think I'm crazy. But if you have anything you would like me to go over, or questions, I will definitely answer them in the comments. And this is definitely more of a, hopefully watching this gave you some ideas for something to do. Maybe I brought something out that you're like, oh, I never thought of that before. I love watching watercolor paintings because I see somebody doing something, I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. And I'm just adding a little bit more details and stuff here, just finishing it up. But hopefully you guys like this. If you do, please hit the like button. Obviously subscribe if you can, if you want some more watercolors. I do have a time-lapse section. Time-lapse, for me, I love watching time-lapse because just seeing it all come together in a really fast way, like this whole thing would have been a 30-second video. I learned a lot from that as well. I know a lot of people don't like them, but I love time-lapse videos myself. It's probably where I've learned the most, so I like showing them as well. And not everybody wants to spend an hour and 7 minutes watching a video. But I do appreciate that you guys spent some time with me tonight, and I would love to hear some feedback in the comments. And hopefully you guys have a very beautiful painted day.